I suppose that almost everyone of us who has read his Bible or her Bible at all has fascinated himself and maybe a whole Sunday school class with a discussion about the famous story of Mary and Martha, these two sisters who apparently were so different, but they had a home that made Jesus feel particularly welcome, and he apparently stopped there often to eat. Those two sisters and their brother Lazarus were the main source of hospitality during the last week of Jesus' life, when he again stopped there, felt himself restored by their friendship, and thus prepared for the difficult hours that lay ahead on what we now call Good Friday. I'm thinking today, of course, of that very familiar story about the occasion when Martha was preparing a meal for Jesus and for any other guests who happened to be present, and how at a certain point she became flustered, then frustrated, and then, I suspect, just really flat out angry, because she was doing all of this work in the kitchen and she could hear the pleasurable conversation that was going on just a few steps away as her sister, Mary, was conversing with Jesus. I think all of us reading that story have always had mixed feelings about it. I've had more than one woman say, well, I'm a Martha, so I have all my sympathy with Martha. And I've often said that if I were coming to somebody's house to have a meal, I might enjoy Mary's company, but I'd be glad Martha was there to do the cooking so that I'd be sure there'd be a meal involved at any rate, and probably a very good one. What exactly was wrong with Martha? Well, it's a pretty clear story, really, as far as the Scripture is concerned, and a terribly important story for all of us. I think I can faithfully say, yes, if not all of us, almost all of us. Because after Jesus has said to, after Mary, has let me start over again. After Martha has complained to Jesus that Mary isn't helping at all with the cooking and the care and preparation, Jesus replies that Mary has chosen the better part. And he says this almost rebuking word to Martha. Martha, Martha, he says. And when Jesus or any other biblical person repeats the name, you know that it's a way of emphasizing the seriousness of the conversation, almost the kind of thing that some of us recall of our mothers particularly, who, if they gave us our whole name, called out our whole name, we knew we were in trouble. Well, in this case, when God calls somebody or when Jesus would speak to someone and use the name twice, it was a way of saying what I have to say is especially important. Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. I suspect that Martha would be right at home in the kind of world that you and I live in, the kind of world where it is so easy to be worried and distracted by many things. I ponder a news report I got several years ago about a great locked gate community where once you got into it and got to anyone's house, it was difficult enough to get into the community proper through the gate system. But when you got there, you found still that you really would have difficulty getting into the person's home even though you were there by invitation. Why? Because the people have so many possessions. And having so many possessions, they have so much to worry about. This is the kind of thing that Martha was dealing with in a much simpler world than we have, a world where indeed her distraction was mainly at mealtime preparing a meal. What I wonder about is the tax season not long ago, when those of us who make a reasonably good living and have more than one source of income discover we're distracted by many things, trying to keep up all those tax records and take care of them. Or the more automobiles we have, the more we have to worry about. The more rooms at our home, the more trinkets on our shelves, whatever, the more we have to distract us and worry us. I'm not making an argument against any of these things. I enjoy having some things that make life more beautiful for me and for those who visit our home. But I keep saying to myself, it is very easy to become so worried and distracted by many things that we miss the biggest things: love and faith and hope. And that's my word for today. God bless you.